Kenshi is a game with a bit of a reputation. People call it by names such as the game that hates you. Pretty much everybody has a Kenshi moment story, where something so painful, so uniquely Kenshi happens to you that you know you wouldn't get the experience anywhere else. Drop your Kenshi moment in the comments. Let's take an example from a random Steam review. Started as a slave, stole a fish. Ran from fundamentalists I stole the fish from. Got my legs chopped off by the fundamentalists. Crawled for hours through the desert. Got captured by cannibal robots and got my skin peeled off. 10 out of 10, worth it. In case you've never heard of this game but got served this video through the magic of the algorithm, let me give you a brief introduction. Kenshi is basically a do-anything sandbox game, emphasis on sand, and box if you look at the architecture. It's a deep system game that plays like some mixture of RPG, adventure, colony management, and real-time strategy game. Taking place in a strange desert world filled with old ruins, remains of enormous megafauna, fanatical groups, violence, fear, and hunger, you get to choose what you are to this world, as long as you have the skills and smarts to back it up. You could be a humble farmer or trader, a petty thief, the leader of a roving war gang, even the end of entire civilizations. But unlike other games, you're not going to get plot armor or player privilege. Kenshi fans may debate whether the suffering in the game is cruelty or complete nihilistic apathy to your existence, but the suffering is a rule regardless and will be visited upon you. In Kenshi, the strong exert their control over the weak, and if you're the weak, well, a lot can happen in a short time. To provide a short list, not just what can happen, but what you should probably expect. Being beaten unconscious, having your lunch stolen, being shackled and sold into slavery, having your limbs hacked off, being eaten alive one limb at a time, dying of nutrient loss as giant spiders suck your food out through your guts, being ceremoniously dumped unconscious outside of a town for any one of these fates to meet you. You start out as the weakest of the weak, not able to defeat the smallest animal or the hungriest bandit with a rusty metal stick. See, when I said that the strong exert their control over the weak, what I really meant was, when you start this game, literally anything in it can break you if it chooses to. The only thing that's going to stop that from happening is discretion, cunning, luck, and keeping yourself breathing long enough to climb the masochism ladder and grow stronger than the world. Sounds like an incredibly unforgiving world, right? Well, it can be, but in a lot of ways, I believe that it's just the opposite. Kenshi is full of cleverly crafted second chances and opportunities to rebound from catastrophe. In any other game, stumbling across an enemy 50 levels higher than you would be a swift death, a menu screen and the start of a new run. But Kenshi, oh no, Kenshi's not done with you yet. While death is always a possibility, the far more likely outcome of an encounter is Kenshi's signature move, the recovery coma. In Kenshi, you don't just have one health bar, but a blood bar and a health bar for each of your limbs. When your health in an essential limb, head, chest, stomach, drops below a certain point, you'll go unconscious, after which enemies don't treat you as a normal combatant. In an unconscious state, you won't be attacked directly, but you can still die through blood loss or deteriorating wounds. Manage to avoid this, however, and you'll enter recovery coma. Here, your tender meat construction will lay limp on the ground while your organic processing unit installs some updates and slowly recovers your health until your essential organs reach above 0. Of course, don't forget the first rule of Kenshi: you are not special. Enemies in the game also get access to this recovery coma safety net, and Kenshi is the type of game that will have you tearing your hair out asking why you can't stuff the coma patient in the corpse furnace to stop them getting up and attacking your base again. But the rules exist for a reason. The genius of the recovery coma is that it's an alternative to death, but also an opportunity for the other machinations of the game to play out. From recovery coma, you're not going to be outright attacked and killed on the spot, but your no longer squirming body is now susceptible to any number of fates, being carted away to slavery or a feeding pole for cannibals, or thrown out of your base for the local ninjas to take over and use your own wall-mounted turrets to keep you from reclaiming it. It's this back and forth from Kenshi. Too weak to immediately succeed, but given many opportunities to come back from the brink if you know where to look for them, that makes Kenshi so good at crafting rich, captivating stories. Always failing, but failing forward, tossed away from your plans by the winds of fate, beaten to the brink, but finding a way to rebuild and confront new threats. These story arcs are what legends are made of, and what seems to be drawn out of every run. So let's talk about making great stories in Kenshi. For reference, I'm a noob by Kenshi standards. I've got about 300 hours in it, about 270 of them in my blind first playthrough. You can find the playlist for that series in the card here or linked in the comments below if you want to see it. If you're keeping up with the series already, thank you for your support if so. Just know that this video may have some spoilers for it. Also, if you're new to the game in general, this video may remove some of the mystery and surprises of the game that you'll never get back. Consider stopping here until you've played the game for yourself, and then come back to compare experiences. It's worth it. So how did I find that amazing stories seemed to grow and come alive from my Kenshi playthrough? For my first playthrough, I did everything I could to enter the game totally blind. I'd seen about 5 minutes of a streamer play through it. I believe it might have been Jabo for his Millionaire Challenge, since I watch his Fallout streams sometimes. Aside from that, I'd only heard of Kenshi through osmosis, the occasional comment here and there gushing about it. At the time, I was working on a theory that access to information changes the way that we perceive games, so I decided I was going to experience Kenshi entirely on my own. No guides, no outside help. If the game didn't teach me something, then that was just the experience that I would get. The beauty of knowing nothing going into the game is that I got to experience it as a stranger in a strange land, with no preconceived notions of what it would take to survive in the world or where I should go. I happily wandered through Vane without a care in the world, somehow miraculously never encountering a beak thing. I brought a Shek into Holy Nation territory, again escaping with only some nasty words sent my way. When I encountered the Fog Islands, other than Ruka saying that something about the fog felt off, I had no idea there was any element of danger there. And then, finding the Fogmen, I sent my characters to investigate, causing one catastrophic loss and nearly ending my first run the first day I played the game. Oh boy. Okay. Brecht, you need to... You gotta hightail it, buddy. You gotta get out of there. Such ignorance wasn't limited to just the early game, either. I encountered the great sky lasers of Venge with awe. What? And avoided them for a significant period of time, not knowing their capabilities or how to protect myself from them. I listened to stories of mist ghouls, grieve wraiths, and flying beak ogres, not knowing which stories I could trust and which I couldn't. Because I started as a human and quickly made my way to Holy Nation territory, it was dozens of hours before I saw my first skeleton, and after that they remained mired in mystery. Sometimes this exploration turned incredibly dangerous on a moment's notice. Picture me with acid-resistant gear, exploring the Deadlands for the first time. Opening an outpost, eager to meet whoever is sheltering from the environment outside. I open the doors, and out comes a swarm of iron spiders which proceed to puncture their way through my entire best squad, leaving every single one of them unconscious, and many of them bleeding out. It's the type of experience that you can only get one time. Love this series because of the way my face lights up when something new happens. It seems very hard, and I'm brave for doing it blind. Oh, thank you, Rez. I appreciate that. Of course, I may have gone a little bit excessive for my playthrough. I didn't even allow my chat to give me hints on quality of life or basic functions of the game. I was very stubborn about deriving everything I learned from the game itself. If you can't figure out a base function, of course, I wouldn't judge you for looking it up or turning to Reddit. But if you're still relatively new to the game or haven't played it at all, my single biggest advice is to leave all this behind and go play it. Don't watch videos or streams or guides. Confront the world as a stranger learning its harsh rules through trial. You can always come back for guides and meta strategies if you can't find your own way, but you can never go back to knowing nothing and struggling to make sense of it all. Sometimes the real experience is in that struggle. If you still have the opportunity to explore more of Kenshi with nothing but adventure in your mind, take it. Some of you may be tired of hearing this before I even begin. Play without reloading is a frequent suggestion in the Kenshi community, to the point that some people consider it the only way to play. And if you don't want to, that's okay. I'm not here to tell anybody the right way to play. But I will state my belief that playing without loading saves when something goes wrong will result in better stories. As I alluded to earlier, Kenshi's unconsciousness and recovery coma system leaves opportunities for things to go wrong and be taken in directions you never expected without incurring an instant loss. This is a gift to storytelling, the foil to your plans, the friction against which your characters must swim to success. When I started my playthrough, I had a small base in Okran's Pride. It was a relatively forgiving place to start, aside from the ninja raids. In one such raid, I hired mercenaries to defend me, but something went wrong. I got ripped off on the mercenaries. Yeah, the Black Dragon is even on my turret. Can I see on the map where they are? They just... Oh my god, really? You know what this outpost is? Can anybody tell me what's here? The game had registered that I had another outpost far from my original location. I still have no idea why this location registered as an outpost. I might have simply been clicking around the build menu as a noob and accidentally placed a foundation of a structure. But for some reason or another, mercenaries didn't make it where they were meant to. The Black Dragon ninjas arrived, and I had to face them alone. Mercilessly, I was defeated, more than half of my characters dying. They threw me out of my own base and manned my own turrets against me. I was ready to quit, or reload from the beginning of the day and try again. I almost talked myself into it since the mercenaries, in my mind, didn't behave as expected. But I collected myself, gathered my remaining party, and went to seek a new home. We bought a house in Squin, made mining money, got real equipment this time, learned that the Shek sold tech hunters' notes and treasure maps. From there, we eventually made it to Shem, and further explorations eventually led us to ancient science books to advance our tech level. Something that had been holding us back in Holy Nation territory. If I hadn't taken the loss as impetus to find a new home, who knows how development of our faction would have progressed. In another turn of events, I had a copper mining crew seeking new copper deposits that got too close to Holy Nation territory, one of them being a Shek. Chased by a paladin, my crew retreated back to the hub, resulting in a fight which left several of my crew unconscious. Then the cruel winds of fate blew my way as my Greenlander, Batai, was still unconscious when some slave mongers came around. Try as they might, the rest of my squad couldn't free Batai from the slave mongers, and he found himself carted off to Rebirth. This started an epic side arc that lasted 7 streams, over 25 hours of playtime. While we continued to work on the new Shem base, we would continually keep up with Batai in his acts of struggle, and training on athletics, stealth, lockpicking, and toughness. We made a new friend, a fellow slave named Beanhop, who we would eventually free and whose skills would see him become a part of our most trusted squad until endgame. Then one day, Batai managed to make his escape. Batai made a successful break and got clear of Rebirth enough to lose the aggro of the guards, but he had taken grievous wounds on the way out. With no first aid kit to heal himself, he was losing blood, and he was critically hungry. Mustering up the last of his energy reserves, he ran through the desert trying to find a scrap of bandage to staunch the wound, but he had been underfed for too long. Run he would until he collapsed for a time, come back to, and carry on. It was clear he wasn't going to make help on his own. From our base in Shem, we picked our fastest runner who would draw no attention from the Okranites, bombing him. Sprinting through the border zone and across Holy Nation land with medical supplies and food, Bombingham raced towards his friend. Closing in now, only a couple hundred meters away when... Too late. Bataille is dead! Oh, we couldn't save him. We couldn't save him. Bataille was gone from his wounds. He had died, but not shackled, on his own terms. He had learned the final price of freedom. There are so many cases like this where I suffered a loss and could have reloaded, but it was against the rules I had set for myself, loading saves only when something had glitched out, such as when prayer day came and all of my dialogue became bugged, incurring the Holy Nation's wrath. Beyond these stories, I can tell more. Remember the outpost we opened only to find the piercing limbs of iron spiders? That would have been an easy moment to reload before the tragedy, before the seal of the outpost door was ever broken. Instead, we launched an urgent rescue mission. We faced a fight we knew we couldn't win. The spiders had toppled our best fighters and were now relentlessly camping their bodies, standing directly over them and striking down anyone who dared to stir from their trauma-induced rest. You know what, honestly? I am so not above this. Kenshi is a harsh world. So to survive it, we had to be harsher. Stopping at Smuggler's Bar on the way, we used our pooled funds to hire a couple of workers who made themselves available to us. Eager to earn their 3,000 cats, they had no idea of the terrible job that was actually ahead of them. Everybody received their orders. The new hires were to approach the bodies, draw the ire of the spiders, and lead them to a distance which left our rescue crew enough time to scoop up the wounded bodies and retreat outside of the Deadlands. Ooh, there's one spider there that hasn't moved for some reason. All right, time to get everybody at sprinting speed. Nikon is dead. Bombing him. You go. You go. Cat. Beanhop. Inu. Jinsei. Beanhop. Gecko. Saint. No. Kang. Rain. Bodo has died from blood loss. We expected that. Oh, come on, pathing. Hold up. Just over this ridge. Okay. Come on. I know you can get there. No way, it was a negative 135 and lived. Yes. Ultimately, we had some losses on both our adventuring squad and the new recruits, but we managed to get most of our squad out alive and home to rest. Through quick thinking and unethical employment of contracted temp workers, we had averted the total squad wipe that seemed inevitable. Oh, Saint. I think Saint is not gonna make it. Time and again, though keeping my finger off of the load button was difficult, I held out against temptation. When first making my strikes against the Holy Nation, I stumbled my way into Blister Hill, thinking it would be good combat training before taking on my High Inquisitor target in Okran's shield. Wow, Truth is on a badass solo mission to get rid of the archers. Now that's the stuff of storytelling legend. That's like the role you get when you're the main character in a video game. They're like, go behind enemy lines and take out the artillery. That's what Truth just took on himself. I'm telling you, Truth is a candidate for main character. Huh. Truth took a pretty severe headshot. Was Truth shot in the head? I was unaware that Blister Hill was actually the capital and housed the Phoenix himself and his protector of the flame. It was a decision that could not be undone. Holy moly, am I fighting the Phoenix himself already? No. I don't think so, unless the Phoenix happens to be here in, Blister Hill, and I just picked it. Protector of the Flame? Okay, so this one I'm a little worried about. I didn't know. No, I didn't. Lived in Holy Nation for a while. Yeah, I just never went in here. Peak blind Kenshi playthrough. That's what it's all about, folks. When I made a tactical error in combat, the Phoenix struck a mortal chest wound against Beep, the now accomplished swordsman with 3 of 4 cybernetic limb replacements. Burn just took a nasty hit from that. Beep is dead! What the hell happened to Beep? Where's Beep? Beep is the cherished son of Kenshi, and his loss was hard to swallow for all those present. But hold fast, I did. Though he was not around to see our endgame, he was to us the strongest swordsman. And finally taking down the Phoenix was made all the sweeter in his memory. Damn, man, Beep didn't have to go this way, but Beep would have wanted to go this way. Kenshi is the sandbox game. The be who you want to be, do what you want to do game. Some people are perfectly happy doing a routine trade, or just playing around in the world and seeing what happens. These are perfectly valid and great stories can come from them. But if you're like me, you might have some trouble in the world without a direction. We're going to put the greater philosophical implications of that statement aside. In my first playthrough, my initial goals were simple. I wanted to see as much of the game as I could. The whole map I wanted to be mine to see, explore, and conquer. Some viewers tell me they always restart when they get to the end game, or that they've never been to parts of the map like the Ashlands themselves. I wasn't confident if I could get there in my first playthrough, but if I could choose my own adventure, I was going to go the explorer route. As I explored more of the world and it opened up to me, new goals made their way onto my list. I decided I wanted to meddle in the affairs of humans. The decision to eventually overthrow the Holy Nation was made early on. The decision to take on the UC only much later, having found the anti-slavers in spring and deciding that their cause was a righteous one. Smaller goals and points of interest popped up. As my research tree progressed, I wanted the capability to manufacture the most advanced robotic limbs. When I stumbled across the king of the Southern Hive, he was barely hostile if you didn't stand right in front of his face, but I decided that he was a foe worth defeating. Oh! Who can reach him? Burn. Does he have a kill item? Let's find out. Dad, we killed King! Let's go, we killed King! Yes! Man, the management required for that fight. Oh, man. This is genuine elation I'm feeling right now. What a fight. Once I had finally done all of these things, I was satisfied. I had told the stories I wanted to tell, and my crew had nothing further to strive for. They had, mostly, survived to the final chapter, and their reward was permanent suspension in stasis, waiting for the save file to be needed to film B-roll for a video essay or something. From there, I had to pick a new challenge. Currently, we're doing a rock bottom playthrough. It got off to a great start when we got arrested for stealing 9 whole cats, spent multiple days in jail, and had so many outbreak attempts that we reached a notorious criminal level with the United Cities, a bounty level that will never expire. And so our story was set. Gold Ship, fleeing from cannibals, lost an arm but managed to escape to the Great Desert. Starving, hoping to quell the gnawing in his stomach, headed to a dark corner of a shop and engaged in petty thievery, a chain of events that would see him transformed from starving commoner to, well, starving commoner and notorious criminal, relentlessly pursued. His goal now? Grow strong, defeat first the cannibal gangs that cost his arm, and then the emperor of the system which made of him a criminal for simply trying to afford a piece of smoked meat. Whether he achieves his ultimate revenge or dies in burning pursuit, I am confident the stories along the way will be amazing and unlike those that most other games could produce. I have future stories to tell too. The skeleton who tires of the noise of life and thinks Catlon didn't go far enough, seeking to become Kenshi's third extinction. The lone adventurer who raises a crab army and he really likes crabs. That one's still in the workshop. Maybe he's an animal rights activist and won't eat any meat. But what I am sure of is that there is plenty of life left in the game and many stories left to tell. And hey, if you've made it this far and those stories sound interesting, consider subscribing. We have much to see in the world of Kenshi and other games together. Until we see you again, happy storytelling in the harsh and fascinating world that is Kenshi.